There's my crew. Good to see you folks. I'm John Zidar. This is On Top and Hot. And today is Wednesday. It's November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. And since tomorrow's a holiday and Thursday, I'm not going to be doing a live streaming event tomorrow. No big surprise there. What I like to do on this show, folks, is to share hot penny stocks with you that I find through the trading day. I'm a day trader and I primarily trade stocks under $5. And I'm always looking for a hot penny stock, one that has potential to make us some money. Well, over the last few days, I've been getting a lot of comments about two companies that were in a business combination that we've been waiting to close, and it just closed. So I'm going to cover those two companies right now. We are looking at ticker QIND, Quality Industrial Corporation, who had a business combination with ticker HTOO, Fusion Fuel Green. Now, both of these companies are based out of the United States. Quality Industrial is out of California, while Fusion Fuel is out of New York. Quality Industrial finished the day at almost 8 cents, and she was up almost 4%. Now, this is a hot penny stock on the OTC, but she's on the bottom tier, the riskiest tier, the pinks. It's risky because you don't get any validated information down here. Really, the only validated information you get comes from the OTC markets themselves. It's these green ticks over here. We have a transfer agent verified and usually a verified profile. We don't have the verified profile here. Now, that's not a deal breaker, but I do appreciate as much validated information as I can get. HTOO Fusion Fuel. She finished the day at almost 31 cents, and she was down a little more than 1% today. She is a stock on the major exchange, which comes with benefits over those OTC penny stocks. First off, all transactions are free on the major exchange. You can trade pre-market, aftermarket. You can never do that with OTC. There is a heck of a lot more money and volume on the major exchange, as well as rules. And all those rules keep our investments safe because they keep the companies honest. So let's dive into some information now about what's going on here. I'm going to start with the news over here with HTOO, and I am scrolling back to just the beginning of the month, actually, the 12th of this month. The company received a notice from the NASDAQ. We're going to jump into this because it is pretty important. The company is not meeting compliance with stockholder equity. This is a tough one to fix, folks. You got to make a deal and get some more assets on the books, which is what they're doing right now. The NASDAQ told them back on May 8th that they were under the $10 million criteria for stockholder equity. They were only at $3 million. The NASDAQ made the determination to deny the company's request for continued listing on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ stated that unless the company requested an appeal of the determination by November 12th, they would be kicked off of the NASDAQ on November 14th. Well, obviously, they're still here, so they put in that request. They submitted the request. This normally buys them about 30 to 45 days to get things fixed. Between now and then, nothing can happen to the company. And hopefully, all of this business combination stuff will be sorted out and get the stockholder equity fixed for them. Diving back to that news. Piece of news on the 14th, Fusion Fuel issues damages claim against Hygienal for failure to fund $33.5 million subscription agreement and announces insolvency of Portuguese subsidiary. They had a deal with another individual who was going to invest $33.5 million. It is a company over in Portugal. They didn't do it. They followed up with them and said, let's take care of this. He still hasn't done it. They gave them a deadline. He still hasn't done it. So they are closing down that Portugal facility, and they are taking care of business in a legal fashion now to get that money, to get what they feel they are deserved. On November 19th, Fusion Fuel Green agrees to acquire a majority stake in Quality Industrial Corporation, expanding into gas and engineering services. And the last piece of news is when they closed it, which was yesterday, the 26th. So let's dive into this piece of news. Let's get some information about these two companies first. Sound like a good place to start? About Quality Industrial Corporation. QIND is an industrial company specializing in the energy sector. Its operating business consults, designs, supplies, installs, and maintains liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, while also transporting and supplying LPG in bulk and cylinder format to nearly 40,000 customers. It serves commercial buildings, mixed-use apartment complexes, shopping complexes, food courts, heavy industries, labor accommodations, catering units, commercial kitchens, and restaurants. The company was formerly called Wikisoft Corporation before they changed their name to Quality Industrial Corporation, August of 2022. Now about Fusion Fuel. Fusion Fuel is a pioneer in the green hydrogen sector, committed to advancing the energy transition through innovative hydrogen solutions. All right, let's dive into this piece of news and see what is going on. They tell us here that Fusion Fuel has signed a binding agreement to acquire approximately 70% ownership interest in Quality Industrial Corporation. QIND operates in the gas supply and services sector with expertise across industrial and utility value chains. Fusion Fuel's strategy to build a full-service energy engineering business, combining capabilities in both the traditional and clean energy sectors to meet the evolving demands of the global power and utilities market. QIND, whose operations are headquartered in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, in 2023, its operating business, Al-Shola Gas, reported $11 million in revenue and $1.8 million in net income. That is an increase of 19.5% for the reported revenues and 12.4% for net income. Al-Shola Gas currently services over 40,000 customers across the Middle East from its 7 operating facilities. The acquisition is anticipated to yield significant synergies, especially between Fusion Fuel's specialized hydrogen engineering services and QIND's competencies across gas and utility value chain. This acquisition will create new opportunities for QIND to expand its offerings in the European markets. It will also allow Fusion Fuel to extend its hydrogen engineering services into the Middle East. And there it is, folks. We've got 2 different types of fuel businesses coming together to cover both spectrums in 2 separate areas of the world, now combining both of those areas. As recently announced, Fusion Fuel's Portuguese operating subsidiary, responsible for conducting the most significant part of the company's technology development and production, has filed for insolvency. Management views this step as an opportunity to recalibrate its business strategy to better align with current market conditions. Now, I don't know how this is going to affect them, but when I read the most significant part of the company's technology development and production, I've got to wonder how they're going to get along without that. That sounds pretty bloody important to me. So that covers all the information over here, except to say that it was just closed here on the 26th. I dove into that. Only thing they really say new in there, and you've probably already figured this out, this is a change of control. QIND has got 30% of her own business, while Fusion Fuel has 70%. All right, let's get some information on the company's stocks now. Now, I've got to imagine that the share counts are going to be changing, so the numbers we're reading right now are probably going to change in a short amount of time, and I don't know what they're going to be, but we're going to have to deal with what we got right now. So QIND, her relative volume today was up a little bit. Now, we are down on the OTC. Volume is always light down here unless you're really smacking it. She's been doing about 445,000 shares a day as an average every day over the last 30 days. Today she did a little bit more. We're at 532,000. Share structure for the company. We have got about 126 million outstanding. Insiders own a ton. They've got 86 million. That is definitely the lion's share, leaving us with less than half of that, about 40 million. We're not going to call that a low float, but it isn't a bad float. Anything under 100 million is a decent float. Market cap for QIND, we're at about 9.5 million right now. Financials for the company. We got nothing coming in here over annuals. How about the quarterly? Oh, yeah, we got money coming in, looks like just this year. The first, second, and third quarter, they've been doing about is that million? Yeah, we've got to add 3 zeros to any of the numbers here. So we do have $3 million as an average coming in each quarter. And they're getting to keep about $1 million of that. Jumping down to the balance sheet. Wow, they give us a lot of numbers here. All right, let's see what we've got. Cash and cash equivalents, what I like to think of as the bank. We got to bring those 3 zeros over here too. So we've got $221,000 in the bank. Total assets looks like about 17 million. Total liabilities is just under that, just shy of 16 million. So we are holding stockholder equity of 1.2 million. So revenues have started. They seem to be pretty steady, and we have stockholder equity, and they just closed the deal, which is probably going to change things a lot. And I'm not quite sure how it's going to change them. Taking a look at the disclosures, we've probably already covered this, not me and you. I mean, I've probably already gone through it and didn't find anything to share with you. This 8K is probably going along with that 10Q, which is their most recent financial. Let's see here. Nope, this is about the definitive agreement, which they just closed. And this 8K will go with the financial. No, that's got to do with the deal too. All right, you normally have an 8K come out with your 10Q. This NT 10Q said they were going to be late. That bought them 5 days for a quarterly. They filed that on the 14th. 5 days later, right on time, they had their quarterly report out. If you really want to do some due diligence on the company, leave Google alone. And don't even bother going through every news press. That's not going to give you everything you want to know. Dive into a 10K or a 10Q and you'll get all the information you want. There's a lot of information in there. One of the best things I like to do to narrow it all down is if you're looking for stuff that's happened recently, put in a date, put in a month or a year, and just use your search bar and find anything you need. All right, let's take a look now at HTOO. What was her relative volume today? Oh, all right, she's on the major exchange. So being at 500,000 shares daily over the last 30 days, that's under the radar. And still being under 1 million shares today at 858,000 shares is under the radar. Nobody's really paying attention right now, are they? Share structure for the company. We got a low float here. I don't know what it is, but our outstanding share count's only 17 million. And I don't know what the insiders own, but when you subtract that from the outstanding share count, you end up with our float. Now, a low float is literally anything under 10 million. I don't know that it's under 10 million, but as far as I'm concerned, anything under 100 million is good. And when you get under 20 million, as far as I'm concerned, we're talking low float arena. So we've got a really decent float here. Market cap, way down there, 5.5 million. Financials for the company. Wow, it was just last year they started bringing in revenues. Oh, they brought in $4.5 million, but look what they lost. $17.5 million. Whew, how do you stay in business like that? Quarterly. They didn't give us anything here, but I'm sure they have quarterly reports. They just don't show up on the OTC's Markets website. Jumping into the balance sheet. All right, looking at the most recent one, cash and cash equivalents, we've got about 1.2 million in the bank. Lots of assets, got about 46, 48, 47 million. Liabilities is close, we're at about 44 million, which leaves us with that stockholder equity of 3 million. But there is a minimum criteria up on the NASDAQ. You can't have anything less than 10 million or they'll throw you down to the OTC. Now, the only way you fix this is to get more assets. You've got to have more value. And where are you going to get that? In a deal, an acquisition, a merger. And that's what they're in the midst of right now. So let the dust settle and let's see if this changes. They've bought themselves 30 to 45 days by filing that appeal. Hopefully they know what they're doing. And the disclosures, I know I've already covered them, but I'm going to look anyways. That's news. That's news. This is all about the deal. Oh yeah, we got an SC13G. 13Gs and 13Ds are filed whenever a new investor comes on board and buys so many shares, he becomes part owner. he becomes an insider. This is Mayday or somebody like that, I don't know, but they bought about 9% of the company, which is a good thing. When you consider 9% of all that the company is, I don't know what that costs, but that's how much they bought. And then we've got some more 6Ks here, all having to do with this deal that they did with QIND. So what we've got to know now is, what do the charts look like? Yes, we are going to look at both charts. Let's go do that now. You know where we're at. This is my free trading platform, Think or Swim, where we do all our charting. We're going to take a look at ticker QIND first. Got this opened up to a 1-day, 1-year chart. It was a year ago, we hit a high of about 20 cents. We've been in a downtrend the entire year, deep underneath that 200 MA, hitting a low in October of 1.6 cents. Off of that, she has jumped. She has broke through the 200, has come back down, landed on her 9-day perfectly, and is now pinched up against that 200-day MA. This looks like it's ready for a breakout. All of our MAs are turning up right now. All of our oscillators are climbing. Everything is looking nice. Coming on down to that 6-month, 4-hour view. 6 months ago, we had a high of 18 cents in that downtrend, but on this chart, we are in a full-fledged breakout. She bounced off of the 200 haul here, going from 4 cents roughly up to that 12 cents. You got a 300% jump there. Back down to the 200 and bouncing off of it, sitting on top of her 9-day. All of our MAs are climbing and crossing that 200 right now. Anytime a smaller MA crosses a larger MA, that is a golden cross. Normally that gives power to the price for climbing. Our oscillators, our PPO is climbing. Our MACD is trying to climb. It's a little flat right now. And our RSI is actually dipping, believe it or not. Take a look now at our 20-day 1-hour view. So we had a nice breakout, hit that 12 cents, came down to our 50-day MA. That's where she's riding right now. You can see that. She's bounced off of the 50. She's up on our 200, and she looks like she's ready to run off of that. All of our oscillators are climbing slowly, but they are pushing up, and that's all we really need. 5-day, 15-minute. Coming down off of that 12-cent high down to our 200. Bounced on it once, bounced on it twice, 3 times, 4 times. You can see she is paying serious homage to the 200, and now all of our MAs are starting to climb. They were all falling back here. Now they're all starting to climb, and the price is on top of them all. I'm expecting this to start climbing now. All right, let's go take a look now at ticker HTOO. I get that right? I did. All right, let's kick this back to 1-year chart. So about 7, 8, 9 months ago, we were at $4.64. That was in February. It was short-lived. She was really up there at about $2.31 before she had that poke. She came back down, laying on this 200 all the way until about right here. She fell away from the 200 and started to fall, hitting a 52-week low of 28 cents here at the beginning of November. And right now she is trying to turn up, but there's not a lot going on. We got a little bit of volume, but all of our oscillators are flat. Just flat right now. They need to start coming up, and it looks like that's where she's at. The bottom of the bowl, just about ready to come up the other side. Taking a look at our 6-month, 4-hour view. Serious downtrend. 6 months ago, we were at $1.84. Falling. We had a nice jump here. Came back down to that low of 28 cents. And right now, she's just going sideways because there's really nowhere for her to go. All of the MAs are falling. Just coming down hard. She needs these to come underneath her so that she can get on top of them. And then they'll turn up and start to push her up like heat rising. Our oscillators, they're not looking good. Each one of these is actually pushing down right now, except our RSI. That don't make sense. All of our oscillators are pushing down, but our RSI has got just a hint of rising to it. And all I see are red bars falling right now. Take a look at our 20-day 1-hour view. Well, we had a huge poke right there from 41 cents up to 81 cents. That's a 100% jump right there, and I like that spike. That spike went from 40 cents up to the 200-day MA with the solid bar. The solid bar did not go over the 200, just the wick. The next bar, it did. The next bar did come down lower. Had the next bar not come down lower than the first bar, I would have thought this was ready to break out. But as you can see, she's been falling. She hit a low bubble here, and since that, she's been going sideways. Perfectly, laying on top of all of her MAs except the 200 haul, which is now turned up, turned blue. She is in the 200 sandwich. We have our 200 haul on the bottom, our 200 MA on the top. She is sitting on the 50-day in the middle. It is a perfect setup for a breakout, folks. All we need is a little bit of volume to come in, and this 200 haul is going to smack that price. I would expect the price to actually drop to the 200 haul, pow, and get smacked like a baseball and go over the fence, up to and through the 200. Now, our oscillators don't say anything is happening right now. It's all set up, but we need volume. We got no volume here. Taking a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. Boy, she's really just going sideways the hard way, isn't she? Up and down, up and down, up and down. And while she's doing that, our 200 is trying to figure out what it's doing. It was falling here. It went flat right there. This was our breakout point, folks, right there. She got up, came back down underneath it, took another jump. That could have easily been a breakout, but she came back down underneath it. And right now our 200 has actually got just a hint of falling to it. And look at all these red bars. And of course, our oscillators are going to be following the price, and they're all coming down as well. So right now, it seems to me that both HTOO and QIND are not getting any attention. They're not getting any love, and both companies have started bringing in revenues. The biggest problem we got right now is with HTOO in the NASDAQ because of their equity. They're at 3 million. They need to be at 10 million. They got 30 to 45 days to get that fixed, or they could end up down on the OTC. We're not out of hot water, folks, so we got to watch that. Now, I did not cover all the information. There's a lot of other information to consider. There was ILUS had a deal with QIND, came right up to about a month ago, and they terminated that deal. So if you were wondering what happened to that, it disappeared. There's a lot of information out there. I couldn't get to all of it, so I'm counting on you to do some more DD, folks. Remember, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See you, folks.